Hi! For today's video, I'm going to be walking you guys through all of the Halloween DIY decor pieces that I made over the past month. I'm super excited to show you, especially there's one project that I'm particularly excited to share. But first, step one, set the mood. Yes. Hi! You come to say hi? Or do you just want to sit so you can stare out the window? Stare out the window it is.
Okay, enough of that. Back to the DIY projects.
We're going to talk about a door hanger. I know this isn't the most exciting thing on the planet, but I knew what I wanted to say, so I just looked up different creepy Halloween fonts, drew it out. I ended up painting the words because I thought it might stay better. Really made it hard on myself with all of these projects, I'm not gonna lie. And then after that dried, and then watercolor paint on top for the color, and that's it. Keep door closed. Don't let the little monsters out. And they are little monsters.
I'm referring to my cats.
Next, we have DIY potion bottles that I made. So I'll insert the footage of me during the process of making the potion bottles and walk you through that.
To make my potion bottles, I started with some Michael's glass bottles in various shapes that had the cork in them. These are about $1 to $2. And then I bought some potion labels from Etsy, which I printed. I then attached these to the bottles with Mod Podge in several layers, and then put some of the Mod Podge on the glass to add an antique-y type finish. I did about 3 coats of the Mod Podge. Here's just a shot showing one of the bottles after the finished attachment process. You can see it kind of makes the glass look a little bit frosted where I put the Mod Podge. For the actual potions themselves, I wanted to try 2 different kinds. The first is a combination of vegetable oil and water. You fill the container about 3/4 of the way with vegetable oil and the remaining quarter with water. You then add the food coloring or acrylic paint of choice. In this case, I used black food coloring for the first potion. It makes a nice gloppy, gloopy look with the vegetable oil. I then added some green glitter to this one. With the second one, I just repeated the same process, about 3/4 vegetable oil and 1/4 water, and then added yellow food coloring because I wanted this to be more golden in coloration. I then added a little bit of glitter as well, and then added some gold leaf as well as a little bit of mica powder. The nice thing about this type of potion is you can leave these unsealed and add Alka-Seltzer tablets, which will make them bubble. However, I didn't want to risk spillage, so I did glue the corks to these down. So, no Alka-Seltzer tablets in mine. The second type of potion I wanted to make is a color shifting potion, which is really simple. You just need rubbing alcohol, some food coloring, and some color shifting mica powder. That's it. For the Witch's Brew, I made it green with a shift to bronze. For the Love Potion, I wanted it to be blue for an icy cold heart and shift to a warm rosy color to signify the falling in love. Of note, it takes about 30 minutes for the mica powder to settle out of the solution and for the potion to return to its original color after mixing.
So I did end up gluing the stoppers down, and then I did spray them with like a sealant Dreamless Elixir, all finished. With a little shake. I like how this one, with the oil and the water, you get these interesting bubbles and droplets. Next, this is the finished essence of Belladonna, and that's what this one looks like when it is shaken. It's the gold flake and the glitter. The Witch's Brew. It is like an army green. Turn it around and then we'll give it a shake. And then it turns like a bronzy color. Love Potion.
This was by far my favorite of the potions that I made, and just another shot, slightly better lighting to show the color shift from blue to a nice warm rosy magenta color. The next project was making some spooky books.
I ended up taking those cardboard book boxes that you can find at Michael's, and I bought a couple of these so that I could turn them into different spooky or Halloween themed books. And the first two are more simple and basic books. We'll skip to previous Holly and show the footage of me making these, and then we'll come back and I'll show you the finished product.
For the books, I started by repainting the base color with acrylic paint. I used gray and black. I then did some Google searching for some inspiration and then drew my designs on top of the books in pencil so I'd have a guide of what to paint. Then using acrylic paints, I painted in the designs. If I had to go back, I'd probably do some of these with Sharpie because it would have gone a whole heck of a lot faster, but that would have been too easy. After I painted the designs on the books, I did go in and use some acrylic paint to age the pages on the sides of the book so they looked a little bit more weathered and fit with the overall vibe of the books. Additionally, I sprayed each of the books with a spray sealant so that they're a little bit more protected from damage, hopefully won't get too scratched or banged up with the spray sealant on them.
And we're back. So this is the first book. This one has slight Slytherin vibes, spells and curses. I think what I didn't show at the end of the video is I didn't like how crisp and clean that the gray paint looked. So I went in and distressed it a little bit with some black paint and some darker gray so that it looked a little bit more weathered in places. Here's the binding of the book. And then the back of this book, of these books, is just plain, but I did distress it a little bit so that it matched the front and didn't look so crisp and brand new.
And here's just an up-close shot so you can get a better idea of what it looks like, see the details a little bit more.
This one, I love the black and the gold. Very Hufflepuff vibes. Someone may or may not be a Hufflepuff. But this is my favorite. I just love the font and just how this pops. Love the design of this one a lot. So there's the binding. Is that what it's called?
And here is some up-close footage of the black and gold book so you can see some of its details a little bit better.
So the last project that I did, and the most intensive, and unfortunately the one that I documented the least, I'm sorry, is I made book from Hocus Pocus. The footage that I have, I will show you guys next so you can see the process of me making book from Hocus Pocus, and after that, I'll show you the grand reveal.
So step 1 of the process, buy the biggest book box you can find at Michael's. Step 2, draw the design on the book so A, you know what you're doing, and B, you can gauge the size of the molds you need to make. Step 3, use model magic to mold the 3D elements for book. Let dry for several days. And step 4, attach with adhesive. Step 5, fill in any gaps with spackle. Optional, but what I did. Step 6, start the massive painting process. I started with the gray/metallic elements first. I thought it was a good idea at the time. Maybe would do it differently in hindsight, but that's what I did. After painting the metallic parts, I then did the base coat of brown all over the book. I did several layers, I think at least 2, of just a base brown color before I started doing more of the detailed painting. This did really help because as you can see a lot of the design and the lightness of the book through the brown paint because it is just acrylic paint, so it did take several layers to make it more opaque and more of a nice background of brown to start doing the detail work on top of. So here's what the front and back of the book look like with the silver elements done and the brown base coat on. Then I started doing the more detailed work. I started by filling in the gaps where eventually the sutures will go on top of, and then doing some highlights, lowlights, and adding dimension all over book. So I did not document this very well, but I also molded the latch elements of book out of model magic. I let that then dry for several days, and then once dry, I was able to paint these elements to match the other metallic elements of book. And I'm just referencing the latch that goes on the cover for color reference as I paint. So here's the front of book after I did the detail work that I did not document. So sorry. But here is the completed latch. I attached the side piece to the top part of the latch and the part of the latch on the back cover via a piece of small leather-like material, so it acts as like a hinge so that it's actually a functional latch and can open and close without cracking of the model magic. It stays in place via a magnet that I attach to the back of the latch and to the inside cover of the book. So what seems like step 100 in this whole process, but nearing the home stretch, was attaching the stitches. I used a waxed thread that I cut into small pieces and attached with E6000 adhesive. It's the greatest. I attached each stitch on one side of the ridge that they were supposed to cover, let that dry, then kind of folded them over the ridge and then glued them on the other side. After the stitches were dry, I then took a Sharpie and just defined the hole where each stitch would have gone in. While a little bit tedious, I do really think it helped make them look even more three-dimensional and really polished off the look. I didn't do these 3D stitches on the binding of the book, I just painted on stitches on the side of the book. After this, all that was left was to spray the book with a sealant so it lasts forever. Grand reveal in
2, 1. I mean, I'm in love with it. I don't care what anyone says. I'll insert some close-up shots here so you guys can see more detailed look. And that's it. Those are my Halloween DIY decor projects. I hope you enjoyed seeing them and the footage of me making them. If you have any suggestions for future projects, for maybe next year's Halloween, please let me know. Would love to hear it. And with that, happy haunting. Spooky season. Someone walking by with their Amok, 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 amok. This one requires a little more aggressive shaking. Now the love potion has worked. It's changed their heart from ice to fire. Mook. This is him. This isn't his book. Him.